the situation with Iran is at a critical point. Commercial ships today were fired on by Iran as the regime reversed course, declaring the critical Strait of Hormuz closed until the U.S. ended its naval blockade.
Iran thought it had the world trapped. Close the Strait of Hormuz, hold 20% of the global oil supply hostage, force America to negotiate on Tehran's terms. It was the strategy Iran had been building toward for decades. It is not working. Right now, 10,000 United States troops, more than a dozen warships, and over 100 aircraft have locked down the Strait of Hormuz in the most comprehensive American naval blockade since World War II. Iran's speedboats are still patrolling. Iran's drones are still flying. Iran's commanders are still issuing warnings over the radio. None of it is stopping what America just put in motion. The USS George H.W. Bush Carrier Strike Group is en route. 2 aircraft carriers, tens of thousands of Marines, mine-clearing vessels racing from Japan. The second wave of America's Hormuz operation has begun, and this time America is not asking anyone's permission. What you are about to see is the most powerful naval force assembled in the Persian Gulf in a generation, and it is pointed directly at Iran's last remaining card. To understand why this moment is so significant, you need to understand what America has already accomplished in the first phase of this operation, and why Tehran is now facing a situation it has no good answer for. On April 11, 2 Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, the USS Frank E. Peterson Jr. and the USS Michael Murphy, transited the Strait of Hormuz, the first American warships to enter the strait since the conflict began in late February. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Navy was waiting. Final warning announcements blared across maritime radio frequencies. Tehran told its domestic audience that the American ships had turned back. 3 supertankers crossed Hormuz in the hours that followed. America kept moving. The mine-clearing operation began. Autonomous underwater vehicles began their systematic work on the minefield Iran laid and then lost control of. And on April 13th, CENTCOM made an announcement that changed the entire strategic calculation in the Persian Gulf. The United States Navy was imposing a formal blockade of all Iranian ports and coastal areas. Not a transit restriction, not a negotiated arrangement, a blockade. Every vessel entering or leaving Iranian ports was subject to American interdiction. 10 merchant vessels complied with American direction and returned to Iranian ports within the first 24 hours. An Iranian-flagged cargo vessel attempting to evade the blockade was redirected by a U.S.-guided missile destroyer. No ships have successfully breached the American cordon. And here is the part that tells you everything about where this is heading. CENTCOM confirmed that the blockade employs more than a dozen warships, over 100 aircraft, and more than 10,000 personnel. That force is operating primarily in the Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea, not inside the strait itself. America does not need to place warships in the Persian Gulf to enforce a blockade against Iran. American technology and American naval reach allow interdiction of Iran-linked vessels anywhere in international waters, for as long as it takes, regardless of how far those vessels travel from the strait. Iran built its strategy around controlling a 21-mile waterway. America is enforcing a blockade that has no defined geographic boundary, but the force already in position is only the beginning, because the USS George H.W. Bush is coming. Having already navigated around the African continent and past the Strait of Gibraltar, this carrier strike group is locked on course for the Persian Gulf. On its flight deck sits what amounts to the air force of a small nation. Over 70 F-18 Super Hornet fighter jets, dozens of EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, E-2 Hawkeye early warning platforms, MH-60 Seahawk helicopters, nearly 5,000 personnel. When the George H.W. Bush joins the USS Abraham Lincoln already operating east of the strait, the United States will have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups positioned in the same theater simultaneously. This is not a show of force. This is a combat posture. 2 carriers means 2 complete air wings operating simultaneously over the strait and the surrounding region. Double the sorties, double the coverage, double the strike capacity against any Iranian asset that presents a threat. Behind the carriers come the amphibious assets. The 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, 3,500 troops backed by MV-22 Osprey tiltrotor aircraft in the Arabian Sea. The 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, 2,500 additional personnel advancing toward the Middle East. Fully equipped, fully prepared, waiting for one order. And here is the part no one is talking about. The P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft are already in the air, flying continuous surveillance patterns over the strait and surrounding waters, their AI-assisted sonar systems listening for every anomaly beneath the surface, every Iranian submarine movement, every mine that shifts position in the current, every speedboat that departs an Iranian coastal base. Nothing moves in or around the strait without American sensors tracking it in real time. This is what modern naval dominance actually looks like. It is not just warships on the surface. It is an integrated surveillance and strike network that covers the surface, the subsurface, and the airspace simultaneously. Iran can see the ships. Iran cannot see the full picture that America is operating from. That asymmetry of information runs in exactly the opposite direction from what Iran planned when it designed its Hormuz strategy. Mine-clearing vessels departed from bases in Japan and are advancing westward through the Strait of Malacca without slowing down. The USS Pioneer and USS Chief transited the Strait of Malacca on April 11th. These are Avenger-class mine countermeasure ships, purpose-built for exactly the environment Iran has created in Hormuz. They are joining littoral combat ships already in the region equipped with purpose-built mine countermeasure packages. The net is being woven for a comprehensive mine-clearing operation across the shallow waters of the strait. This is a three-front naval convergence: mine-clearing assets from the Pacific, carrier strike groups from the Atlantic, amphibious assault forces from the Arabian Sea, all converging on the same 21 miles of water, all at the same time. On the Iranian side of the strait, the picture that is emerging confirms exactly why America is bringing this level of force to bear. Between 600 and 800 Iranian speedboats are currently active in the Hormuz region. Baghramar-class armed boats carrying machine guns and rocket launchers, shadowing American destroyers at speeds of 40 to 50 knots. Ashura and Tandar-class attack boats specifically designed for coordinated swarm operations, small, agile, mass-produced, capable of executing simultaneous attacks from multiple vectors. Over 200 active surveillance and attack drones are operating in the region. Shahed 136 kamikaze variants, Mohajer 6 and Mohajer 10 long-range surveillance platforms. Small FPV suicide drones designed to exhaust expensive American interceptor missiles by forcing billion-dollar defense systems to expend hundreds of thousands of dollar missiles against targets that cost a few $1,000s to build. Beneath the surface, the mine threat has become more complex than when Iran first laid it. Reuters sources report that nearly 6,000 naval mines are present in the strait. Maham 3 type mines, suspended in the water column, triggered by the acoustic or magnetic signature of passing vessels. Maham 7 bottom mines detonating beneath ships in shallow water. Moored contact mines, and drifting mines that the Gulf's currents have carried kilometers from their original positions. Iran's commanders laid this minefield quickly and irregularly. The scale of the mine threat becomes clear when you understand the geography. The Strait of Hormuz is only 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. That same narrow corridor that makes the strait so strategically valuable also concentrates the mine threat into a defined area that American systems can systematically work through. Unlike open ocean mine clearing operations where threats can be scattered across hundreds of kilometers, Hormuz gives American mine clearing assets a bounded problem, a difficult bounded problem, but a bounded one. Every day of clearing operations permanently reduces the threat. Every mine neutralized is a mine that can never again close the world's most critical shipping lane. The Gulf's currents have since scattered it into patterns that Iranian naval units themselves can no longer safely navigate. Iran built a trap and then lost the combination to its own lock. And here is the critical vulnerability that America's technology is specifically designed to exploit. Knifefish-class autonomous underwater drones are detecting mines through sonar scanning. Mark 18 Mod 2 Kingfish unmanned underwater vehicles are mapping the ocean floor with torpedo-shaped bodies, locating hidden explosive devices through precise acoustic and magnetic sensing. MH-60S Seahawk helicopters are sweeping for near-surface mines using airborne laser mine detection systems. When a mine is located, SEQ expendable neutralizers, small fiber optic guided robots, swim directly to the target and destroy it using a shaped charge. Iran laid mines that cost $2,000 each. America is clearing them with systems that cost $100,000 per neutralization. The economics favor Iran in this exchange, but the strategic outcome does not, because every mine America clears is a mine that can never again threaten a commercial vessel. Iran cannot relay mines under current conditions. Every cleared mine is a permanent reduction of Iran's leverage. Now consider what the blockade is already doing to Iran's economy, and why this is the dimension that ultimately decides the outcome. Before the conflict, Iran exported approximately 1.5 million barrels of oil per day. More than 90% of those exports moved through the Strait of Hormuz. From Karg Island, which handles 90% of Iran's total oil export capacity, tankers loaded Iranian crude and sailed it directly to buyers in China and across Asia. That flow has stopped. The American blockade is intercepting and redirecting Iran-linked vessels anywhere in international waters. Iranian crude is not reaching its buyers. The revenue that funded Iran's military budget, its drone production, its missile stockpiles, its speedboat fleets, has been cut off at the source. Before the conflict, more than 90% of Iranian oil exports went to China. Every tanker that departed Karg Island delivered millions of dollars into Iran's military budget. Every barrel covered the production cost of the drones, mines, and missiles, now threatening American ships in the Strait. America is not just clearing mines in Hormuz. America is severing the financial artery that makes Iran's entire military strategy possible. The blockade is the economic dimension of the same campaign the military is executing in the Strait. Close Iran's ports, stop Iran's oil, end the revenue stream that funds the asymmetric threat. The mines become irrelevant when the regime that laid them can no longer afford to replace them. Here is what this moment means for America, and it is the dimension that most coverage fails to fully capture. 10,000 American troops, more than a dozen warships, over 100 aircraft, 2 carrier strike groups, 3 Marine expeditionary units, mine-clearing vessels from Japan. All of it assembled, all of it in motion, all of it converging on a 21-mile waterway because America decided that freedom of navigation is not negotiable. What often gets overlooked is this: America is not just enforcing a blockade. America is demonstrating a principle that every nation watching this situation needs to understand. No country, regardless of its geographic position or its asymmetric military capabilities, gets to hold the global economy hostage. Not permanently, not without consequence, and not against a nation with the will and the capability to respond the way America is responding right now. Every American taxpayer who funds this Navy should understand what their investment is producing in real time. 10,000 American men and women operating in one of the most dangerous stretches of ocean on Earth, clearing mines, enforcing a blockade, standing their ground against Iranian speedboat swarms and drone attacks, protecting freedom of navigation for every nation on Earth that depends on the Strait of Hormuz. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said it directly in a Pentagon briefing. "We can do this all day." That is not a boast. That is a statement of fact backed by 2 carrier strike groups, 10,000 troops, and a mine-clearing operation that has already begun dismantling Iran's greatest strategic asset piece by piece. This is what American naval power looks like when it is fully committed. 10,000 troops, 12 warships, 100 aircraft, 2 aircraft carriers converging on the same theater, mine-clearing vessels racing from the Pacific, Marines waiting for one order in the Arabian Sea. Iran built its entire strategic position on the assumption that America would not pay this price to keep Hormuz open. Iran miscalculated. For 40 years, Tehran used the threat of closing the Strait of Hormuz to shape diplomatic outcomes, soften international pressure, and extract concessions at every negotiating table where it sat. The threat worked because no one was willing to pay the cost of calling it. America just called it, with 10,000 troops, with 2 carrier strike groups, with mine-clearing vessels and autonomous underwater systems, and a blockade that has no geographic boundary. Did Iran just discover that the card it spent 40 years building is no longer worth what Tehran thought it was? Or does Tehran still have a move that changes this equation before America finishes clearing every mine it laid? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment. If you want daily coverage that does not sugarcoat what is actually happening, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I post every single day, and I am not stopping.